Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'd like to start off by saying I really appreciate all the support on your first video. Today's topic is going to be saving. But before we get into that, I'd like to start off by just doing a quick recap on what we went over in the previous video. We started off by speaking about gaining employment, and once you had gained employment, working out your expenses versus your income, and making sure you either made cuts to your expenses or raised your income so that you could have a bit of extra money. And once you had that extra money, we talked about actually paying down on any debts if you had them. One thing I like to say about debts is sometimes debts can seem like overwhelming, but don't get discouraged. Just keep chipping away at it and eventually it would subside. And if you do have any extra capital, it would be wise to, as well as making the minimum payment, also put money on the principal, and that should speed up the process of getting rid of your debt. Now, as far as saving, there's a few ways that you can start saving. The simplest way is to just save whatever extra money you have in your account every week and don't spend it. That's for very responsible people. Other people can open up a separate bank account and create what is called a standing order, which means that whatever amount of money that you elect will come out of your primary bank account when you get paid and go straight into account B every week without you having to do anything. It's just automated and it'll happen. The third way is that you could create a group of friends, say 10 friends, and do what's called a club hand. You could do it with your coworkers, your friends, your church group. And how that works is everybody puts in the same amount of money, and say every 10 weeks you'll get whatever the total amount of money is. So that gives you a lump sum to actually save, which is sometimes easier. So there's many ways to save. It really is whatever works for you, and that's the important thing. So once you figure out what works for you, the first thing that you would like to do is have at least 6 months worth of expenses saved up. Now I want you to think of this as your runway or your safety net. If this is for absolute emergencies, if anything was to go terribly wrong in your life, you could cover it financially, and that's very important. Now you can do less, but what's recommended is 6 months. I mean, if you're comfortable with 3 months, do 3 months. If you're comfortable with a month, you can do a month, but it's really up to you at the end of the day. So the next step is saving 1 to 2 months worth of expenses, right? Now this is going to give you even more of a cushion, even more of a safety net, even more of a runway, right? So this is like if your bills come in high 1 month, if something breaks, if you got a speeding ticket, right? Anything of that nature, you can use this money without having to touch your emergency fund, okay? Now, the next step, once you've completed that, is finding an asset to put your money in. Now, what is an asset? An asset is something that holds value or stores wealth, right, and appreciates over time. Now, you have 4 main categories of assets. You got gold, you have stocks, you have bonds, and you have real estate. These are all good places to put your money over time. They all appreciate over time. All right, so I'll get into more of that in the next video. Appreciate you guys. I'll be back next week. Thanks.